welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dani, and this is Coffee Break with Dani. And Sophia, are you for real right now? You know, on these really important videos, you can't crash the intro. It's super important. These are serious videos. You can't crash the introduction. Well, unless you want to talk about your explant surgery. Do you want to talk about your explant surgery? Can I get started with my video, please? It's really important. Yeah? Okay. We love you. All right, you guys. So if you are new here, that's Sophia, my schnoodle who crashes every single introduction of all my videos. A couple of weeks ago, I filmed my breast implant illness video where I shared with you guys my experience with going through breast implant illness, how it happened, how I felt, how long I had breast implants, and basically my symptoms that led up to me having explant surgery. It was a very private video. It was a very intimate video. It was a very emotional video, but taking away what we learned in that video, I wanted to do a separate video where I answered your questions, follow-up treatments, scar treatments, price, how I found a surgeon. So kind of like one video was based on me, my feelings, my experience, and I wanted the follow-up to be in your hands. You guys are in charge. You guys will narrate this video. And so I told you guys in that video, leave me your questions in the comment section below. But the comment section was so overwhelmingly flooded with so much encouragement, so much support that I cannot extract your questions from there. It is just flooded, and it's a great problem to have, but I really want to make sure that the questions that I answer are questions that you have. So I went on my Instagram and I posted this right here where I said, hey y'all, you need to let me know what your questions are, leave them down below and we're gonna answer them. And that's the point of this video. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link my breast implant illness video in the description box below, where I basically talk to you guys about the 13 years that I had breast implants and then what happened that made me come to the decision that I needed to have them removed. So I'll link that video in the description box below. But right now we are going to answer your questions based on that video or any other questions that you have regarding the subject. But I do have a huge favor to ask. If you have a good time here, if you learned something, if I made you laugh, if you laughed at me, if you love Sophia, which is trying to crash my video again, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button, select the bell for notifications, become a panda, and join our little community. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? I'm just gonna go in order from first question to last question, and I'm gonna answer as many as I can. The very first question was, how was the recovery different from getting implants done to getting your explantation? How do you even say that? Explant surgery, so wouldn't it be an explantation? Is that even what? Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. All right, so when I had breast augmentation surgery, I was 21. Y'all, when you're 21, you could get hit by a Mack truck and 2 days later you're fine. So I don't think it's fair to compare the two, but I don't think it's fair to compare the two, especially because they were so different. I had breast augmentation surgery when I was 21. It was under the tissue and it was through an incision underneath my breast curve. There was no curve. I told you guys. The reason I got a boob job or breast augmentation was because I was as flat as a wall. There was no tissue. There was no projection. So the recovery was insanely different. I wore a supportive like post-op bra for maybe a week and that was it. I took pain medication for like 2 or 3 days and antibiotics for a week, and that was it. There was no pain, there was no discomfort, there was no tingling, there was no complications, there was nothing. I was back to work in 4 days. So I think I had my surgery on Thursday, and on Monday I was back to work and school. I was still going to culinary art school, I think at that time. Yeah, I still was because I was carrying my toolbox. Super different. Explant surgery was horrific, the recovery. It was super painful and it was very uncomfortable. But I think what I'm gonna continuously remind you guys throughout this video is I didn't just have explant surgery. I also had fat grafting. The explant, I think, would have been a piece of cake, even though I had drains. The explant would have been a piece of cake if I had not had fat grafting. And fat grafting means they liposuction fat from a different location in your body and they put it into or inject it into a different part of your body. So I had fat grafting done on my flanks. So right here, just on the side of, right above your waist, all behind your ribs, like this whole area was liposuctioned, whatever they could get from that area, and that was put back into where my breast implants were. Now, the likelihood of fat grafting actually sticking is like 30%. And I am convinced none of my fat stuck. I don't think any of my fat survived. I don't think any of it transferred really. It just got reabsorbed into my body and just, you know, it's gone. Because I have basically no projection right now. I'm okay with it. But I think the fat grafting wasn't necessary, or if I could go back, I probably wouldn't do it because it was expensive. It was insanely painful. I still have sensitivity on my flanks. It was expensive, it was painful, the recovery was terrible, and I have no results. So I'm like, I didn't really need to do it, I don't think. What was the hardest part about your journey with breast implant illness? I think for me, the hardest part was not having the energy all the time that I wanted to have, having 2 little boys. You know, the headaches and the anxiety and stuff like that, it's whatever, you manage. It's symptoms. When the symptom comes, you deal with it, you know? But having the desire to want to play or to want to do or to want to have the energy to do these things with young kids and just physically not being able to do it. Was it all the time? No. Did I try my best? Always. But there were some times where I was just absolutely defeated. I could not, as much as I tried, be as active of a mom as I wanted to be with my kids. And it was frustrating because it was like being trapped in my own body. Like I could see through my eyes, but my body wasn't responding the way I wanted it to. And it just felt like I was trapped in a prison of my own body, is the best way I could describe it. So I guess that impotence was the hardest. Did fat grafting fill the pocket left by the implant? Did they have to resize your nipple too? Okay, so I've always had itty bitty tiny nipples. I've never had issues with that. So that was left alone. The pocket that was left over by the implant, I have really stretchy skin. And I know that because I didn't get any stretch marks with any of my pregnancies. I can fluctuate weight. I usually fluctuate between 8 to 10 pounds, always, always, always. And it's either my butt or like my lonja, like your muffin top. That's usually where the weight fluctuates. And I don't get any stretch marks. So I have super elastic skin. So I was never concerned that I would have flaps or just like an empty pocket. Do my breasts now look normal? No, but they also don't look deflated or like empty. There's a ridge. The best way I can describe it is, so this is where my boobs should be, but you can tell I have no projection. Like that's literally my boob right there. I hope boob doesn't offend anybody. I should call it breast. So you could tell that's all that's happening right there. And so I have a groove right about here where the implant was. And I think the groove is there because of the type of surgery I had, where they remove the capsule. So they don't just open and pull the implant out. They go in and they cut off all the tissue that surrounds the implant, because that's what's making you sick. The scar tissue around the capsule is what's sick. So I have like a little indentation, but it almost looks like when your bra rides up and does a little indent or like a crease, like if your pants are too tight, it kind of looks like that. Is it super obvious? No. It's obvious to me because I know what I'm looking at. But other than that, no. I wasn't worried about having to refill the pocket because I knew I have stretchy skin and it was just gonna shrink back down just like when you're pregnant. But I definitely thought the fat grafting would yield better results than it did. So the amount of fat that they were able to lipo out of my flanks and put in was the same amount of CC units that was in my breast implants. So they took that same amount of fat and they put it in, but none of it stuck. I mean, you could tell the bra size is dramatically different. I mean, it's like a bra size versus you don't need a bra. What helped you embrace your new shape? You know what? I wish I could say Parker, or like he was very supportive, and he was, but I think when you're stuck in your own hell of lack of confidence, I don't care if the Pope comes to you and tells you you're beautiful, you're not gonna believe it. It has to be a realization that you make on your own. And while my fiance was incredibly supportive and he is super loving and I believe him when he says that he thinks I'm beautiful and he doesn't notice a difference, it was something that I had to see for myself. And it took me a long time, and there are still some days where I'm like, I'm not so sure this is the most beautiful you've ever been, but I'll take it for now. So I guess to answer your question in summary, it had to be myself. Like, I had to be ready for it. I didn't see it for a long time. It took me a really long time, and it was very difficult for me to shower with the lights on or, you know, not get out of the shower and quickly put clothes on. And it wasn't because I was ashamed like Parker would see me. It was, I didn't like to see myself. When you're born into a body and you see it in the mirror and you grow up seeing the same body, and then all of a sudden, being self-aware, being awake, being an adult, being in that same body for tons of years, and you wake up and your body looks different. I hate to compare it to something, but it would be like, I don't know, if you have an accident and something happens and your body changes, or you get a burn, your body changes, you're not just instantly used to seeing that. So it takes you a while to see your reflection, your new reflection every time you see it. So it just happened, you know. I had to be ready for it, and it was all on me. Have you used bile oil on your scars? No, I haven't. A lot of you have recommended using bile oil, but I use bile oil for my pregnancies, like on my tummy. But other than that, I'm not a fan of using oils on scars, and I am a collector of scars, and so I already know what works, and that's kind of what I use. And I think there's a follow-up question to that coming up. How long was recovery when you got the implants? Did it hurt a lot? That's similar to like the first question. My recovery with my implants when I was 21 was a couple of days. I mean, it was fast and it didn't hurt at all. There was no pain. There was not an instant, a moment, nothing of pain. I don't know if I had a good surgeon. I don't know if it was good meds. I took meds for like 3 days, but there was no discomfort or pain. The recovery, like I said, I went back to work on Monday. How has surgery affected your intimacy? This question comes up a lot. How has it affected my intimacy? For me, it wasn't necessarily the breast part, it was the liposuction part. You guys, I don't know how celebrities go off on their summer vacation to get like secret plastic surgery and then come back and do a concert or a tour. They go on tour or they do a movie press tour or whatever. Like, I wish surgeons would tell you plastic surgery is one of the most painful things you're going to endure in your life. I don't even know what to compare it to, you guys. And my pain threshold is otherworldly. Like, my pain threshold is insane. And for me to tell you, liposuction was oh my gosh. I was so sensitive that like, if I knew someone was coming to hug me, I would already wince in pain because I just knew the idea of them even touching my back was gonna be a scream of pain. Like, it was horrible. It didn't affect my intimacy in the way you're thinking, I think. It was just, don't touch me. Like, it's just, is there any way you can access what you need without touching me? Please don't even don't breathe in my direction because it hurts. And I think that when you're in physical pain, not like emotional pain, not tired, not just actual physical pain, not grief. You know, I'm talking like actual physical pain, like when someone punches you. When you're in physical pain, the last thing on your mind is feeling sexy or wanting to get intimate. So it was one of those things where like Parker got scared to touch me, like terrified. He was terrified he would hurt me. And if you really love someone, like one of your biggest fears would be hurting that person emotionally and physically, right? Like, common sense. So he was just mortified to even come close to me. So I think we had a little bit of a cool down period where we were both scared. I was like, I'm scared to hurt. And he was like, I'm scared to hurt you. The explant thing, nothing to do with the intimacy. It was all the flankage, the liposuction, the grafting. That was terrible. Was it hard to adapt to your implants when you first got them? Oh my gosh, you guys, I was in love. I was in love. I wasn't that girl. You know, when I feel like this is very common when someone gets plastic surgery, especially breast augmentation, the first thing they do is always have them out. I wasn't that girl. I was always a little like self-conscious. Like, Now I actually have stuff I could show off, and I was still a little nervous about it, so I wasn't flashy. But the hardest thing to get used to for me was, one, sleeping face down because I'm a stomach sleeper. It wasn't uncomfortable, it was just weird because it was like I was laying on top of something. And then the other thing was going like this. Like if I needed to reach over to grab something, like something was in the way, I was like, oh, hello. That's a nice problem to have. So I couldn't reach over because there was something in the way. Now I'm like, bam, bam, I overlap my arms. There's nothing in the way. It's great. But before it was like, oh, there's like a boulder there. It was exciting, you know? Now I'm like, oh, look at this extra flexibility in my 35 years. Do you feel like it's more difficult finding tops since the surgery? Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so before, the only issue I had with clothes shopping was, are pants long enough? That was it. But other than that, I didn't have any concerns of whether or not a shirt was gonna fit, pants were gonna fit, anything was gonna fit. Now that I had my explant surgery, if I don't try on a shirt, I don't know if it's gonna fit. And so there's so many shirts I can't wear anymore. There's so many styles I can't wear anymore. I started to notice I was throwing up a lot of hurdles for myself. Like today I filmed a video where I was wearing a slinky cami top. And I'm like, well, I don't have a strapless bra. I don't have a strapless bra that fits. I don't have a strapless bra that can accommodate what my boobs look like now. And so I can't wear this cami top. And I was like, I can't wear this cami top. I'll just wear a bra and the straps will show. And if someone has an issue with it, I promise I won't make them wear my bra, you know? And so I think in life, in any scenario, we set up traps for ourselves. And we can focus on those traps that we set for ourselves, like I can't wear that shirt because I don't have a strapless bra, or we can take down the hurdle or that trap that we set up for ourselves and wear the cami with the straps showing, because what difference does a showing strap make, honestly? In this world of good faith, what does a bra strap showing, how does that affect your shirt in any way? Or anybody else in any way. Now, if it's your personal preference and you don't like your straps to show, that's a different story. But honestly, like I'm doing it because that's not how a lady dresses. I'm like, if you wanna wear the cami and the bra straps are showing, it's no big deal. Don't set up those traps for yourself, you know? Definitely difficult. T-shirts, I feel like I really loved how I looked in t-shirts before. Now I struggle a little bit. I find myself, when I catch myself in a reflection, I see I'm slouching a lot, like I'm trying to protect myself, and I don't like that behavior. So I instantly try to correct it. And then before, I could pick up any shirt, whether it was low cut or if it was, you know, a wrap type shirt, or if it had buttons or no buttons or any kind of shirt. It didn't matter what the style was. I knew it was gonna fit because I had stuff there. Now, I don't know if it's gonna fit, so everything needs to be tried on. What are some good bras for us small-chested ladies? I don't necessarily have the right answer for you. I have the two that I use, and I'm happy with them, but they're not ideal. Like, they're not the perfect bra. You know when you find a piece of clothing and you're like, this is the white t-shirt that I need for the rest of my life. This is the perfect, the ideal white t-shirt. I've found two bras that are good enough, that look cute in clothes, that have been able to move into my wardrobe and serve a purpose, but I still feel like I could find something better. So the Braleluya bralette from Spanx is my everyday bra. I'm wearing it underneath this shirt right now, and it's actually a pullover bra, so you just pull it on over your head. It looks like this. This is the size small. It's seamless, it's nude, and it's beautiful, and it blends into like white t-shirts. It's totally invisible. I have a friend that has really big boobs and wears this bra and swears by it. So it's one of those bras that's really friendly with everyone, no matter the size. And it does have that lightly lined material, so it's not thick. It's very comfortable. You can tell in the back, it's kind of wide on the back section, so it does kind of pull over, and it doesn't give you that what's the word, you know, when you get like the little roll back here. So that's seamless. So this is the first one, and this is what I wear every single day when I want to feel a little more feminine, or I have a top that I want to that I want to look like I have a little more projection. I have zero projection, and I'm gonna repeat that a lot in this video so that you guys understand. I have zero projection, so meaning a breast is a curve, right? So it sticks out, it projects out. Mine do not. So I have the curve, but it doesn't come out, doesn't come forward. There's no projection forward. So it's a curve, but there's no flesh to come out. So when I want to simulate the breast curve, or like the curvedness, or the feminine silhouette, I use this bra from Victoria's Secret. It is comfortable, but again, because I don't have tissue, like projection tissue, it does slide up, and so I have to adjust it. It has nothing to do with the band size. It has nothing to do with the cup size. It's important to measure, to get the right size, to try on multiple sizes, because the size isn't always the same depending on the style. So this is the bra that I found was closest in simulating my body shape before I had explant surgery. So the cups are a little more separate. So they come out this way, as opposed to most bras that are, the cups are too close together. So your breasts are right here. This one's a little bit more outward and upward. So it does give you a really beautiful shape. I also love the fact that the straps go all the way up. So you have this little guy, it can move all the way up. So that extends the life of your bra. When your bra straps start to get a little loose, you have a lot more room to play with. And it also has that laser cut strap in the back, so it really does a good job at smoothing out any sort of like roll or curve that you would have back here. How are you on your body image after? PS, I think you're beautiful. That's such a sweet comment. I think if I had to have had my breast implants removed in my 20s, I probably would have had a much harder time coping with my new body. But now that I've seen what my body's done for me, you know, it's given me 2 beautiful children. Despite feeling so ill, I was still able to care for my dogs and for my kids. I was still able to have an active social life, to meet somebody as amazing as Parker. So my body never failed me. You know, I feel sometimes like I failed her, like I failed my body. And so when I look at my body, I don't necessarily put myself in the mind frame of I want to be the sexy girl, or I want to be the hot girl. I look at my body and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I'm 35 years old. I'm a mom. I am a fiance. You know, I'm a daughter. I'm a great friend. And so my perspective on what hot and sexy is has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. So I don't think I have confidence issues in terms of loving my body the way it looks now. But it is hard to have had it look a certain way and then have to relearn seeing it the new way that it looks, especially when it involves things like undergarments or buying new shirts. I went through my closet and I purged anything that could possibly make me feel cruddy on my new body type. I was like, nope, 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 nope. You will make me feel yucky, 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 out, 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 out. Like, help yourself out, you know? If something's gonna make you feel gross, don't keep it. Don't rub it in your face. Like, you know, give yourself your own helping hand. Another question we got was, what scar therapy did you use and how long did it take to see results? Any before and after pics? I don't think I have before pictures of my scars. I'll have to look, and if anything, any picture I have or whatever, I'll throw up on the screen. I've had a multitude of surgeries, from like tumor extractions to cesareans, my initial breast augmentation surgery, and now my explant surgery, the fat grafting incisions, and then the 2 drain holes that I had from the explant surgery. So I've had a ton of possibilities for scarring, and the product that I use every single time is Mederma gel. It's the scar gel. This stuff lasts forever. You can buy it at any drugstore, any pharmacy, any Target or Walmart. It works miracles. When I apply this, I use the Scar Away silicone scar sheets on top. So these actually look like, I have a little open one over here so I could show you. They come with these little things so that you can reuse them. And the actual sticker or Band-Aid or bandage looks like this. So it's like a piece of fabric. I don't know if you guys can see. It's like a piece of fabric. It is very sticky. And then the back is like sticky silicone. And so that goes over the scar. And my scars are, I can't say gone because they never actually go away. Like my cesarean scars are just like the thinnest white line. Or my explant surgery, that is my scar right there. So the scars, the incisions for an explant surgery are pretty big. but you can see how faded it is. If I wear a bikini, this is right at the bikini line. And if it does show, hey, there's a cool story to tell, but the other side, same. You can see how faded it is. So in 6 months, here's another scar that I have. These are fresh scars from lipomas that I had removed like 2 months ago. So you can see they're getting pretty light already using that Mederma gel. Those are the incisions of my explant surgery. You can see how faded they are. And there's no, I mean, I could even move back and then you guys can see. They're pretty big scars, but they're very light. Now, here's something that I do have to tell you guys about scars. Scars are a very controversial subject. Both of my surgeons told me that as soon as my incisions sealed, I could start scar treatment. Both of my surgeons. There are other surgeons that say you have to wait a specific amount of time, weeks, months. I'm of the firm believer that the sooner you start the scar treatment, the sooner they go away and the lighter they get. The longer you wait, the deeper they are and the harder they are to get rid of. Mederma works on really old scars. It fades them, it works. Now, if you have purple or raised edges on your scars, those are not gonna go away unless you have a surgery or a laser treatment on them. So raised scars or purple toned scars are not gonna go away. They have to be just regular scars. You obviously have to take certain precautions like sunscreen. Even if you're gonna be dressed, sunscreen is so important so that you don't make the scars deeper. Darker. But from experience, Mederma's worked miracles for me. I'm talking miracles. Completely disappeared all scars. When I went in for explant surgery, my surgeon was trying to find my previous implant scars and they were basically invisible. They were gone. And I had staples, okay? They were big scars. So Mederma definitely works. I didn't discover this until my explant. I never used these with my cesareans. I never used these with my initial implant surgery. So these are awesome. Do you have sensibility now? Sensibility like sensation, right? Is that what it means? I'm trying to like translate it from English to Spanish. When I had my implants, I couldn't feel anything. Like it was just like, it's like gummy bears attached to my chest. Now that hurt. So I don't know if I had nerve regrowth or reattachment, which can happen. That's another thing that happened to me with the liposuction on my flanks is the flanks felt like leather. They felt like just attached pieces of meat on my back. They didn't feel like it was my own skin. My doctor was telling me that the nerves were hit when you do the liposuction, so they have to like reconnect or come back alive or I don't know, medical stuff. And so now they're super sensitive, not sensitive like, ow, they hurt. I just can actually feel. So it's very weird not feeling much to now feeling everything. Like there's a breeze and I'm like, oh, hello. Am I wearing clothes? What was the most intimidating part of surgery? I think always anesthesia. For me, it's always anesthesia. Even when I had my cesareans and I just had a spinal block, it's always super scary because you think of all the horrible things that could happen. And I think also anytime I'm going into like a procedure, I get nervous because I get super nauseous. And so I always vomit right before. So now that I know that, I warn the nurse. I'm like, can I get a bucket? Because I'm going to barf. And she's like, how do you know? I'm like, just, can you just get it? So I think anticipating the barf and anesthesia. Anesthesia always worries me. There's always that slight chance that, I don't know, the formula could be off or I have a reaction to it or something happens. Like there's that, I don't even worry about like the surgeon or cutting or doing something. No, it's always like the anesthesia that freaks me out. If you could do it all over again, would you still have gotten them? I actually answered this question in my initial breast implant illness video, and I wanted to talk about it again, so I'm glad that question was asked. Someone said, in that video, I said, knowing what I know now, all the symptoms and all of the illnesses all of the bad stuff that I felt with my implants, knowing what I know now, that I could have gone through all of that before I got my implants at 21, would I still have gotten the implants? And I said, yes. I was crucified, you guys. But my answer was simple. If you're telling a 21-year-old, hey, getting breast implants could heighten your possibility of having minor headaches, shortness of breath. You may feel a little tired every so often. You may get a bout of anxiety or like a panic attack in just a really unexpected moment. Kind of like just this baseline fatigue all the time. If you're telling that to a 21-year-old, what is your answer gonna be? I'll just take ibuprofen. I'll drink a Red Bull. Heck, I'm already tired because I have a double major. I'm enrolled at 2 universities and I have 3 part-time jobs. Isn't that where your mind would go? So telling a 21-year-old that doesn't have that world maturity, that age maturity that you can only get from experience, that your risks are symptoms that are just little minor autoimmune conditions, like little minor inconveniences, aren't they just gonna have an answer like, I'll just pop an ibuprofen, right? So that was my honest answer, and it's the truth. If you were to tell me at 21, hey, listen, getting these breast implants can put you at risk for maybe a little baldness, your eyes may yellow a little bit, you may walk into a room and forget why you're in there, but it's really no big deal. It may happen. It happens in just a couple of cases. And if you notice it, you'll notice it within the first 3 years, maybe. You're gonna outweigh the odds and be like, do I want boobs or do I wanna feel healthy? Well, I already feel a little sick anyway. You know what I mean? Like at 21, you're going to rationalize why you wanna do that. Just like you rationalize why you're gonna sneak out of a window at 16 or why you're gonna lie to your mom about going to the mall with a boy versus Susan's house, how you said you were gonna go. So at every certain age, you're able to rationalize certain decisions that you wouldn't at this age now. So I don't even know if it's a fair question. Yeah, I probably would have still had them done, and it's sad and it's ridiculous and it makes me sound stupid, but it's the truth. Hey Dani, I love you. How long did Explant take? My explant surgery was 3 hours, and it was 3 hours because I also had the fat grafting. So I don't think if I had just the explant surgery, like the total capsulectomy, I don't think it would have been the 3 hours. I had to be at the hospital, I think at 7, and I was home by 1. So total was 3 hours of in the OR time. The cost, what's included in the cost, was yours more because they had to take fat from another. Yes, my explant was $9,000 total, not including post-op medication, not including scar treatments, not including like arnica that I had to take, not including the surgery included OR time, the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, the afterwear garments that they send you home in, the binder, because I had the fat grafting. So my M-block explant with fat grafting was $9,000. So explant surgery is not that expensive, but because I had 3 procedures in one, the explant, like the implant removal, I had liposuction, which then was the fat grafting. So the liposuction was needed to remove the fat, and then the fat grafting was transplanting the fat. So it wouldn't be that much if you didn't have fat grafting. I actually got this question a lot in my original video. Do you think your breast implant illness and the toll it took on your mental health affected your relationships? I don't think so. I don't think it affected my relationships, particularly my marriage. I think is like the biggest relationship that I would think, because I had implants the entirety of it. Knowing what actually affected my relationship is a lot more obvious than like me being fatigued all the time. So there's a very clear answer as to how that affects, how that relationship ended or was affected. But like, I think about it now with like my sons and my parents and my friends. I don't think so, because I've always been someone that like tries 200% at everything I do. So I don't think if I didn't talk about it, I don't think people really knew like, oh, I have a headache again, or, oh, I'm feeling dizzy again, or, oh, geez, my hair's falling out again. Like I'm not someone that really loves to talk about that kind of stuff, but when it starts to become so apparent and you keep going to doctors and you get doors closed in your face and you're like, I think that affected my mental health more. These 2 questions are really close. How did I research a surgeon? What to ask a surgeon? And how did I find a surgeon? Okay, so I told you guys my little breadcrumb in this whole journey was Jennifer Stano. She's the one that talked about Explant and talked about a Facebook group. So that turned me on to this Facebook group and an Instagram account. And so just seeing the women dialogue and their conversations, it was important to kind of gather a list of what was important to me to really weed out surgeons. The first thing was the surgeon that I needed to be local. I didn't want to travel out of state for this kind of surgery because I knew the recovery was going to be really hard, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to travel for at least 10 days if I was going to have fat grafting. So I needed someone to be local. I needed somebody that did en bloc or total capsulectomy. So a surgeon that didn't just cut and remove the implant, a surgeon that had the skill, the practice, and the experience in removing the entire pocket. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. It is graphic, just a warning if you don't like yucky stuff. So I needed a surgeon that did that procedure, not just implant removal, because that's a type of surgery, is implant removal. So I wanted someone that had the experience of doing en bloc or total capsulectomy. The other thing that I wanted was someone that was backed up by other women that also had gone through this experience. So there are a lot of really helpful websites that actually list surgeons based on procedures that they do themselves. So instead of picking up a phone and calling around Dallas plastic surgeons and asking if they do total capsulectomy, it was easier for me to just Google Dallas capsulectomy, Dallas en bloc, Dallas explant surgery, and just really see what the women were saying. The other thing that I really wanted to do was call an office and see when they were available. Now, this is just me with my little judginess, but if a surgeon's available tomorrow for a consult, that for me is a red flag. Every time I've had a consultation with a plastic surgeon, I've had to wait at least 2 to 3 months. And to me, that is a surgeon that is sought out by many people all over the nation. So someone that is experienced, you know, that people want to go to, not someone that people resort to. So my surgeon, Dr. Bradley Hubbard here in Dallas, I don't like him. I don't like him. And I didn't like him because of the way he answered a question. I told him, I said, hey, listen, my job, I'm a content creator, and there may be an occasion where I talk about you or I include this in some sort of vlog. Are you okay with that? And he's like, why wouldn't I be? I'm proud of my work. That reaction, like, he's confident, and maybe the way he presented it came off brash, or I don't know, he didn't sugarcoat it. He's confident in what he does. But after talking to Parker and seeing that they're very similar in their personality types, I put too much feeling behind his response, where it was just a literal logical response, like, yeah, you can put it in the vlog, it's medicine, it's what I do, go for it. It's like filming a person at the supermarket being supermarket-y, you know, doing supermarket stuff. Yeah, it's really important that you have a list of questions to ask, where how long recovery is going to be, what medication they're going to put you on, what kind of anesthesia they use, do you have to stay at the hospital, what the recovery is, what's expected, what's included in the amount you're paying. I paid $9,000 flat, but that included every single post-op I've had since then, and I've had 3 or 4 appointments, and I have another one coming up in June, and that's also covered. So I don't have to keep paying every time I see him. So this may backfire, but you definitely need to do your own research on explant surgery, breast augmentation, like what it means, look up pictures. The drains, you get drains when you have explant surgery. A lot of plastic surgery requires drains. Those are like these bubbles, like a plastic bubble with a tube, and that tube goes into wherever your incision is. So like mine were here on the sides of my, I think I showed you guys. That's where the drain was, right there. So there was a tube coming out, the tube hung, the fluid that was draining was from in here. So it was coming out of this tube, and there was just a bubble, just a little bubble hanging here. And so multiple times a day, Parker had to drain the tube. So you'd have to squeeze the tube, all that liquid would come into the bubble. It was horrifying, and you'd have to drip it. Or drain it, log it in a book. Ask about undergarments, which undergarments you're supposed to wear, when do you have to have them. Ultimately, all of these questions can be asked leading up to your surgery or after your surgery, but what's most important is the type of procedure the surgeon does. You wanna make sure that you have access to your implants. You wanna make sure that this surgeon tests the tissue from the capsule when they remove the capsule. You want to ask if they're willing to give you your implants back. To avoid wasting more time on that question, I think it's a really important question, but ultimately the two most important questions are you a board certified plastic surgeon, and are you going to remove the capsule? The third would probably be, are you having the tissue around the capsule or the tissue around the implant? The capsule tissue, or the tissue around the implant, are you having it tested? But other than that, there's the obvious questions like, can I see the paperwork I need to sign beforehand, before I'm there, like waiting to go into the OR? Will you remove my implants? Are you cleaning out the pocket? For me, that was really important. And my doctor was like, that's a weird question to ask. But yeah, you know, I was like, do you rinse out wherever the implant was? And he's like, yeah, we actually flush it out with saline like 4 times. So there's a ton of questions you could ask that are important, but ultimately you want to make sure they are certified. You know, they're gonna remove the tissue, all of the tissue intact. So it's a hard surgery because pretend you have a balloon and then you have a thin layer of like Play-Doh over the balloon, which is your skin. You can't rip it in any way. The whole thing has to come out like in a pocket. You don't want to rip it. You don't want to leave any of that tissue in, because you could still run the risk of continuing to feel those symptoms of breast implant illness. Definitely ask those questions. A lot of doctors require like deposits. So if money is an issue for you, like a really sensitive issue, then you want to make sure you ask, hey, if I do a deposit, like what am I held responsible for? Do I get my deposit back? Or when is the total bill due, before, after surgery, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of important questions that you think of that may be important to you or not important to me, or were important to me and not important to you. You know, like I really wanted to get my implants back. Why? I don't know, just so that I could take a picture holding them. But it was important, like that's mine. It's a very dramatic reminder, I think. And they were with me for 13 years. Like I don't even know what I'm gonna do with them. Put them in a drawer somewhere maybe. Would you recommend a breast lift as an alternative for implants? 100%. Because that's your own skin, that's your own tissue, that's your own fat that they're just readjusting. I didn't have anything. Like you guys, like this. This was my boob. 2x4, I was the wall. So I couldn't have, I was a lift. So if you have the alternative to do that, then yeah, definitely do that with your own flesh and the fat. That would be a great thing to do. Did you wake up after surgery in pain from the whole surgery? No, the pain for me kicked in that night. When you leave the hospital, you are high on life because they give you the good stuff. But you get home, you're like, you realize you can't do anything by yourself. Do you know how hard it was for me to not be able to do anything by myself? Like I couldn't even pee by myself. It was a learning curve. It was an experience. I have never felt so helpless, you guys. Or rather, not helpless, but I've never depended on somebody so much. It was a weird feeling. Can't say I want to get used to that ever. I'm just curious how women who can't pay out of pocket could pay to have an explant. I think if a woman has paid to have breast augmentation, she can pay for explant. And I think that's gonna be the argument of any surgeon. You find a way. I know a lot of women on the Facebook group that I'm in are doing second mortgages, they're getting loans. There's a lot of credit care type credit cards where they pay for medical procedures. I know it's not recognized as an illness quite yet, so insurances will not pay for it. And I think even when the day comes where your insurance does cover, I think they will only cover a portion of it because no one paid you to have implants put in. That was your choice. So I don't think we'll get to a point where like an insurance will 100% cover something like that. So the argument could be, well, if you can't afford explant, you could afford implants. So what's the difference now? And it's unfair because, you know, your financial circumstance from one year to another can definitely vary, but it's going to be one of those things where it's a hard argument to have, you know? How much better would you say life is now without big boobs? Not just with the implants, but with smaller breasts in general. I don't know. I mean, I haven't. It was a very easy adjustment. It's very comfortable. I fall asleep real easy. You know what I did notice? I don't get cold that often. And before, if I was cold, like my actual implants were really cold. so I'd stay colder longer. It took longer to warm me up. It wasn't a big adjustment. It was a visual adjustment, like me getting used to seeing myself, because I feel like I look a lot different, which I don't. A lot of you guys have commented, like, it's like, I didn't even really notice, you know? I wasn't that girl with like the boobs hanging out. So it's been more of an adjustment, a mental adjustment, emotional adjustment than, I don't think I've really noticed like, oh, it's like I can run faster now. No. At what point dating a new guy did you share about your implants? I haven't yet, and it's been 4 months. I never did. It was one of those things where like if they got to the boobs and they asked, I would confirm. Most of the time they didn't get to the boobs, or if they did, they wouldn't ask. I thought mine were pretty passable, and if they cared enough to ask, they would ask. I don't know. I think it's your body. It's like having a tattoo. You don't need to explain the meaning of a tattoo to someone if you don't want to. You don't have to explain your implants to a guy if you don't want to. I think someone worthy of explaining it to would be like your fiance or your husband if they ask. But if it's someone that you're just dating, it's all on your comfort level. If you feel comfortable telling them you did and how and when and whatever, that's fine. But I feel like it makes something that's supposed to be your body, turns it into an object. You know, it's something that's inside of you. It's supposed to be seamless. It's supposed to be just who you are. You're not your implants, it's just a part of your body now, but talking about it makes it seem like it's an object. So I never wasted my breath on it. If someone asked, hey, do you? Then I'd be like, yes. And then, like, do you have a follow-up question? Because I'm not about to go into it. But that's just me. I don't know, I'm private with stuff like that. If someone really wants to know, ask, but I wasn't forthcoming with it. I don't think it's anybody's business. It's under your skin. If they have an issue with it, bye. And then the very last question is, did you have to size down on your tops after your explant surgery? That is a no. I didn't have to size down, but now there are certain shirts I don't like to wear because I don't like how they look. The only reason I don't size down is because I have really long arms, and if I size down, I get like shorty sleeves, and I don't like how that looks. So I kind of like roll them up to like under my elbow, like 3/4 sleeves. So I don't have to size down on tops. There are just certain tops that I don't enjoy wearing as much anymore because I don't feel like they're as flattering as they used to be. But that's it for this video. I'm really glad that I didn't do this in like a 3-part series, because I would have wasted a lot of time answering questions that you guys didn't even have. So I hope that I did your questions justice. Keep in mind, this is a very controversial subject. It's something that does not affect everyone, and I think that's such an important thing to just really try to remember. Breast implant illness does not affect everyone with implants. It's just not how it works. It only affects certain people. It's a very controversial subject because it's hard to prove and it's not fully supported by a lot of doctors right now. So like I did in my previous video, I will link the Facebook group, I will link the Instagram account, I will link Jennifer's account, and all the other videos and resources that I've tapped into to really help me throughout this whole process. I will link the scar bandages and the scar gel that I use. You guys saw how faded they were, and that's in 6 months. I will leave my plastic surgeon's information in the description box below, as well as this really helpful website that I found that kind of leads you or prompts you on what questions to ask your potential surgeons. That's super important. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have a question that I missed, please leave it in the comment section below. I will be answering your comments for the first few days. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you so much, and you know what to do. If you found this video useful, entertaining, and learned something, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, this coffee break is over. Bye guys!